Om Namah Shivaya. Good evening. Welcome back to a very quick documentation of the progress on this project. This is August 2, 2023, 7:25 p.m. Okay, so what is it that I have to document here? One thing just off the bat is the fact that when you build systems up with geometry nodes, it is a lot more easier to navigate in the viewport when you are in the rendered view as compared to when you are in the solid view. Look at how laggy, and it's just difficult to navigate when you're in the solid view. But if you're in rendered view, and by rendered view I mean cycles, it's a lot easier to navigate, which is very strange. Okay, so that out of the way, I think the main thing that I made is this procedural cloud setup, which is just a cube and everything is done inside. Okay, every single workspace has something weird I've done with it. So this is how, I mean, it looks a bit fake, right? Now that I'm looking at it that way, but it's gonna be a part of the camera movement, so I'm not trying to overdo it or anything. It's just a cube, and to the cube what have we added? We've added the principled volume shader into the volume. There's nothing going into the surface. Okay, principal volume shader into the volume, and we've mixed it with a transparent BSDF, and the factor for this mixing is coming from a basic noise texture. So if I was to preview this noise texture, you see it's at a scale of 6 and stuff like those. And I've added 4D just because I want to be animating the movement of the clouds, not so much, but like ever so slightly over the course of time. And we've added a gradient texture through a color ramp into the density. So if we remove this, it makes it a bit 2D, I guess. But it's all about experimentation, and that was a YouTube video that I watched to understand this. This thing that you see here is a separate object, and I did just box modeling it. Select both of these and go into isolation. Now initially it was just one cube, and I was trying to see with my reference, of course, where I can have loop cuts and stuff, and the whole thing has a solidify modifier. If I was to turn that off, yeah, here if you see this is a little flat, this one, so what do you call them, I don't know, but that solidifies, adding that little thickness. So yeah, there was this box modeling. I don't know, I'm gonna show that around. It's gonna be a lot of time. The textures I've added through Blender Kit, and I just figured even now the top looks a bit weird, kind of, and I rotated the textures coordinates here, and here this is a different kind of wood. But for like quick and easy things, especially in the way that it's going to be visible just there, that's okay. Now I actually made a render of the whole thing, but it's not working for a few reasons. One is, you see these crowds, and from procedural crowds, one of them will just like randomly pop up out of nowhere. So I don't know if that is fine. Probably have to fix that. The second thing, when I'm going up, you see the cars, the vehicles, they're like huge. They're as big as like a couple of floors of the building. So that is of course a problem. Like when you do reach to the top, then those cars will become smaller and smaller. But no, these are huge vehicles. These are like giant vehicles. So this entire cycles render I did for 400 frames. I have to do it again. I'm just trying to see if there's anything else that I want to do. I want to obviously work on the foliage a little bit, but I'm really out of time now. So we've come to the point where the clouds in the air are there, and what we're gonna do next is, the next order of operations is, I'm gonna cut from here, maybe like a just a dead cut, nothing else. Dead cut. It's been a while I've said that word. So now if I was to animate this, you see you will get something like this with these constraints, and I think it's a little too high. So I'm going to take my helpers, I'm going to take my circular path and GZ it down. Actually no, it's not about being high. What I have to do is I have to change the focal length of the camera from 15 to like 45, and then it will be fine. And there is 3D text. I completely forgot to say about that. Now for the second part of the scene, which is going to be a cut, I'm just going to come in here and animate it. Let's say from here somewhere to here, like only till here, rise above the regular. Now if I was to quickly show the text situation, it's just like shift A, there should be text here, add text, and then go into edit mode and just type down what you want. And then you give extrusion in the geometry properties and stuff. But what I want to show is I added a little bit of, if I was to solo this, you see there is a little bit of almost like an outline kind of thing that is at place, which I understood that you can do through Fresnel. If I was to remove the Fresnel and sorry, let me just take the emission. If it was just emission, then it looks like, especially amidst the clouds and stuff, it becomes a little unreadable, which was my concern, right? If you see this frame here, let me do Shift Alt Z, so clears everything. The text is a little unreadable, so what I did is I mixed an emission shader with a darker value, and then I added the Fresnel. So what the Fresnel does is, you just Control Shift the Fresnel, it gives you kind of like your outline, and then I've played with the mapping, like just to rotated it on the Y so that it looks how I want it to look. And then you add that into the factor of your mix shader, and that makes it more readable. At the end of the day, it's all about whether your stuff is readable or not. That is a few things that I want to document here. I did a few changes, the procedural crowds and stuff. Now the situation here with the render is that I have to there's a definite lag when recording through iVCam. I can even notice it sometime in the videos, and the camera is also a little too far. Things are messed up, but anyway, so there'll have to be 2 more renders for this. One is because I've made the vehicle smaller in the scale of the instances, and then obviously the second terrace render is remaining, so I'll put that on overnight. And then tomorrow morning before I leave for office, because I'll have to go to office tomorrow, I'll try putting one export out just so people know what I'm working on. And then tomorrow the whole day I'm going to work on the bottle again, making it into a balloon, so I have to take backups for that. Okay, that's where life is. Thank you so much for being in the Khud. I'll catch you day after tomorrow, or if possible tomorrow. Peace.